at the start of the webinar that the three biggest problems I see with people that sign up with me that can't burn fat are too much protein. We've already covered that. And we've also seen people that basically cardio too much and basically running too much. And the third was caffeine and specifically coffee. So let's talk about the running aspect for the next few minutes here. And by the way, you guys can type in and ask questions if you want. And nobody will see your question. It's only I'll see it. So don't be bashful. Okay. So let me talk about this. The running makes you fat. Now, I've always said this, and I'll say it again. Cardio is more addictive than crystal meth. Let that sink in for a minute. This is a very, very powerful slide, and I'm going to make some amazing points here. Now, what are some keys that make this worse, that worsen, that heighten the profoundly pernicious effects of the addictive nature of cardio, specifically distance running? Let's talk about that. Number one, there are three keys that make this such a profoundly addictive and damaging thing. Running early in the morning, running before you eat, basically. Okay, waking up and running, just like this person here in this picture. They're running. It's early morning, sunrise. Okay. Number two, drinking coffee or an energy drink, or worse, a fat burner pill, running early before you eat. Okay? So you wake up, you skip food, you don't eat, which you should always eat when you wake up, and then you drink your coffee, then you run. And the third one is running chronic distance running, not acutely. You know, going for a jog after you eat breakfast once a month or twice a month, that's fine. Having a cup of coffee, you know, maybe 3 times a month, that's fine. Okay? But people don't do it this way. They do it chronically. They do it years and years and months and months and years and years and years. And they don't do it once a week. They do it 4 or 5, oftentimes 7 days a week. Now you're like, well, why would someone ever do 3 things that are so bad? I mean, who wants to get up and not even eat? Use the restroom, down some coffee, and go run. I mean, get a life, people. Well, I'm going to tell you why people do that. I'm going to explain to you and why this happens. Now pay attention here. Watch this here. This is important. Okay. When I can't tell you how many times on my Facebook page I've posted this. I've posted the harmful, pernicious effects of chronic running, especially when combined with distance running before eating in the morning, early morning, with coffee, with caffeine. I've gone over and over how bad this is, and every time I do, you would have thought I told people their mama had bad breath, their little baby girl was ugly, their little child had crossed eyes, that their spouse had bad breath. Who knows? You would have thought I insulted a loved one. They were so angry at me. And the question is here, why is this met with so much contempt? Why is there so much acrimony? Why do people have such grievances with me when I tell the truth? When I explain this, you know, when I explain the detrimental effect of all these top 3 things. I'm going to explain to you, the attendees, and everybody listening out there across the world, why this is met with so much contempt. This is why. Number one, at sunrise can be spiritual, and it helps empower you for the day. It's the alone time. It helps you refocus for the day. Okay? And that's a true statement. When you get up and you run in the morning, I've had people explain this to me, and I used to run early morning about 10 years ago. I actually did that. It's like your most precious time of the day. It's kind of a time for you to get centered, focused, and just kick back into relaxation mode and get on a relaxing jog. And as the sun rises, and if it's a cool morning out and the air is brisk and it's fresh and you're getting a head start on the day, it's almost like you can kind of become one with nature. You're like, ha, that's silly, that's goofy. No, this is real. I did this years ago, and I've had people tell me this to confirm it. Now people say, you know, it's spiritual for me. when you see that sunrise over the open water, or over the forest, or the trees, or in the horizon, and it creates an emotional bond with that feeling and that sensation. Okay, that's what it does. And when I tell someone don't do it, it's met with contempt, because I'm asking them to give up this emotionally gratifying spiritual time of their day, which is their most precious time of the day. I'm asking them to relinquish that. That's how they're viewing it. They don't view it as, well, it's I'm slowing down my metabolism, and I'm forcing my body to store fat, and it's tearing up my body, and it's numbing my body, it's making my body exercise resistant, and da-da-da-da. They don't see the negatives, because there's no emotional connection with the negatives. The negatives are neither here nor there. They're addicted to the sensation they get. That's a big reason. That's one of the reasons it's met with so much contempt. Moving on. Reason number 2. When you run, but not just any running, chronic long duration is key. Not necessarily step mill, not the Stairmaster, but when you're outside, you're already doing the early morning run, okay, then you combine it with not a 10-minute run, not sprints, but a 20, 30, 40-minute jog. What your body does is it releases endorphins. And if you've ever run for like 25, 30 minutes, and you're used to that, and you're in condition enough to where you can make it through a run that long, you will get what's called a runner's high. Now, you'll be tired and fatigued when you're done, but you'll feel good inside, okay? You'll have this, what's called a runner's high, and it'll create that inside of you. And you can't help it. It's a chemical sensation. It's a chemical release. Your endorphins generate this feeling. Okay, so now combine the runner's high with the spiritual component of the sunrise and the empowerment, and you can see what we're building on, how profound it is. So when I ask someone, you got to give this up if you want to bust through this stubborn 24, 26, maybe 30% body fat and get you down to 18, 19%, which is very good, by the way, for any female, then we gotta back off this. They're not. That's why I get this contempt. They're not looking at it from a strategic viewpoint. They just think I'm trying to be a jerk. Now, this is true. Both these two statements are true. Now, here's the third one. Many women, and I've had women confirm this, that have kids, they view this positive, active lifestyle example for their kids as healthy. They want to portray, chronic overtraining, distance running as a healthy lifestyle, and they want their kids to think, well, I guess they want their kids to do it one day. Well, let me tell you let me say this very loud, and let me say this very clear. You are not healthy. You are not setting a healthy example for your kids, okay? 3 30-minute sessions a day of sprints or in-home jazzercise classes is much better than chronic, severe, hour-long, 30-minute long, 45-minute long, chronic overuse distance running. That's not healthy. There's nothing healthy about it. There's zero benefit to that. I will say this, it will help your heart from a cardiovascular standpoint, but there's other things that are for the heart. It won't help your fat loss. It won't help your lipid profile. It won't improve bone density. It will raise cortisol levels. It will break down your body. Let me tell you a quick story. When I was in college and played college football, in the athletic complex, we had a training room. And for those that don't know, the training room has you get your ankles taped in there before football practice. They have a hot tub. They have an ice tax. They have stem treatment. People do rehab in there. They have different machines and therabands and so on and so forth. And the athletic trainers, they'll tape you up. They'll put you an ice pack on you. They'll give you a stem, whatever the treatment is. Well, every day when we went over there for football practice, at the 2:30, 3:30 time range, I'll give you one guess which athletic group was in there every day in hordes, in bunches, in groups, more than any other sport. It wasn't baseball. It wasn't football. It wasn't basketball. It wasn't wrestling. It wasn't volleyball. It wasn't track and field. You know who it was? It was the women's cross-country team. A whole pack of these skinny little girls with the little legs dangling in the hot tub or the cold packs on them, doing stuff. And I'll never forget, I thought, you know, you perform the gentlest, most soothing, easy, non-impact athletic in the history of sports. You just jog all day. You don't sprint, you don't cut, plant, redirect, accelerate. You just jog at a relaxed pace. Now, it might be 10 miles, but you know. And I'll never forget, and I thought, they're just wussies. So I went to one of the athletic trainers, and I said, explain to me why these girls, they don't do anything, they just jog all day. Why are they always in here? And he said, that's a good question. He said, I'll explain to you why. The female body is not meant this type of chronic, repetitive, ongoing abuse. And these were college girls, you know, 19, 20, 21, 22, you know, early 20s. So they're younger, and they were all thin as a rail. A few were kind of chunky, but most were thin as a rail. And so it's not like they weighed a whole lot. And, you know, everything from shin splints to plantar fasciitis to heel spurs to hammer toe. Not sprained ankles, not torn ACLs. They weren't severely injured, but it was chronic degradation of their soft tissue, of their joints, of their maybe their bones. It was breakdown. Okay, so imagine what a woman who's 38, you know, already had 3 kids, who's sitting at 26% body fat, probably 18, 19, 20 pounds overweight anyway, is doing to her body. So that's not even the body fat included. That's just the degradation that it is to your body. That's not healthy. So when you hear these petulant old mother goose, I want to set a positive example for my kids, you're not. You're woefully mistaken, and you're absolutely incorrect. You're doing your kids a disservice. You're obese, your body's broken down, your cortisol levels are high, and you're not portraying anything but the wrong way to do things. There, I've said it. So I know that's a tough pill to swallow, but it's true. Okay, we're going to run through this here. I want to get through this, but it's some great examples here. Now, what if we have someone